Well, New Year's Eve has come and gone, and so has the penultimate weekend of the 2023 NFL season. And what exactly is the penultimate weekend? That was week 17, ladies and gentlemen. And the playoff picture is starting to become a lot more clear now. There's only a couple more spots left open. And, well, we're about to get into week 18 very shortly. So let's talk about the week that was week 17 of this 2023 season. And it all started with the final Thursday night football game of the season, which is only on Amazon Prime Video and unfortunately still will be on Amazon Prime Video next season. But nonetheless, Joe Flacco and the Browns put up a scoring flurry in the first half before their defense had to close it out in the other half as the Cleveland Browns claimed their ticket to the big dance this January for just the second time in 21 years, beating the New York Jets 37-20. Then in a Monday Night Football game on a Saturday, the Detroit Lions, they seemed poised to take the lead very late with a fast 2-minute drill drive, and it ended with a crazy yet controversial 2-point conversion. Why do I say controversial? Well, that's because the offensive lineman that caught the pass from Jared Goff, he did not report himself eligible, but in actuality, when you had cameras on the screen, he actually did, but they the referee misreported it. I'm not sure. Either way, is a bit of a full-on controversy that has been talked about the last couple of days. Either way, the Cowboys held serve in the next 2-point try attempts that Dan Campbell called for, as the Cowboys went on to hold off the Lions 20-19 in that controversial victory. Now let's get into the New Year's Eve slate of games, starting with the early morning portion. The Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson completely torched the Dolphins and their defense, while Lamar secured his MVP case with a 5-touchdown showing as the Ravens secured the AFC's top seed with ease over the Dolphins 56-19. A sloppy first half in Buffalo that featured 5 total turnovers from both teams saw the Bills come out on top with 2 push touchdowns from Josh Allen, and they were playing keep away from the Patriots in the fourth quarter to exact some revenge on the Patriots 27-21. In what could be his last home game in Chicago, Justin Fields once again led the way with another passing and rushing touchdown apiece as the Bears crushed the Falcons 37-17. A sack fumble touchdown headlined a shutdown day from the Texans defense, as in CJ Stroud's return from the concussion protocol, they easily took care of the Titans 26-3. The Colts got physical. They utilized the ground game and got a bounce-back performance from Gardner Minshew after a down day in Atlanta, as they held off the Raiders 23-20 ahead of a big Saturday night showdown against the Houston Texans. With his quarterback Trevor Lawrence out, running back Travis Etienne had to lead the way with 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards rushing, as the Jaguars easily took care of the Carolina Panthers in a shutout 26-0. Despite a productive day from running back Kyren Williams, the Rams had to hold off a feisty Giants team playing for pride, as it took a missed game-winning kick from Mason Crosby for them to hold on 26-25. The Arizona Cardinals probably pulled off the biggest upset of the season as they overcame a 21-6 halftime deficit in Philadelphia and went the distance with the Eagles, and came away with the upset thanks to a go-ahead goal line touchdown from James Conner and stopped a Hail Mary by intercepting it from Jalen Hurts. And Arizona beat Philadelphia 35-31 and well hurt their chances of claiming the NFC East. The Saints, meanwhile, forced 4 turnovers on Baker Mayfield and the Bucs down in Tampa to keep their NFC South chances alive, as the Saints beat the Bucs 23-13. Meanwhile, in the nation's capital, you had Brock Purdy and the 49ers use another second half scoring barrage while also forcing 2 interceptions on Sam Howell, the quarterback, as they bounced back from a Christmas night beating on New Year's Eve, as the 49ers beat the Commanders 27-10. And going back to that Cardinals game, they can say a thank you to Arizona, because you have a new number 1 seed in the NFC, and that is the San Francisco 49ers. Going to the afternoon slate of games on New Year's Eve, running back Najee Harris led the way with 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards rushing, as the Steelers kept their playoff hopes alive with a key win in Seattle, 30-23. A touchdown from new starter Jared Stidham and a few field goals from Will Lutz were just enough for the Broncos to beat the Chargers, but unfortunately not enough to save their playoff hopes as they were still eliminated thanks to some outside forces in the AFC. But they get a win, 16-9. The Chiefs, their defense took control of the second half by sacking Jake Browning into oblivion, as Harrison Butker's 6 field goals were just good enough to secure the Chiefs' 8th straight AFC West title and eliminate the Bengals from playoff contention. The Chiefs beat the Bengals 25-17. Then in the Sunday Night Football game of week number 17 and the final one of 2023, Jordan Love put on a 4-touchdown display with 3 coming in the first half as the Packers got one step closer to a playoff berth in a dominant win over the Minnesota Vikings, 33-10. So that was your week 17 game slate, your recap of it. If your team was in the playoff hunt, but it was unfortunately eliminated, let me know how your team did or didn't do all season long in the comments below. And for this week, let me know how your team did or didn't do as well. So now, before we get into the playoff watch for this week, let's get into my winners and losers for week number 17. Starting with my winners, the Baltimore Ravens. They once again made their case on Sunday for why they could be the ones holding the Lombardi in February in Vegas. They put on an emphatic beatdown of the Miami Dolphins, once again showing that the Dolphins are frauds. They are frauds. But going back to the Ravens, Lamar Jackson had another very good performance, following up a really good one on Monday night against the 49ers. And then he followed that up with a total brutalizing of the Dolphins, a total neutering of that Dolphins defense that was just getting beat up with injuries. But still, Lamar Jackson just, even then, he destroyed them. And then defensively, that defense that has been so good in the front four, they completely neutered that Dolphins pass-happy offense. And yes, I understand that Tua left the game with the shoulder injury, but still, when you limit that Dolphins offense severely, it's like, damn, it's just like, it's this Ravens team, it's something. So the Ravens are on the roll right now, and as a reward, they get to assure themselves that, well, the AFC must go through them. And then the Buffalo Bills. They played a bit of a sloppy game on Sunday, but they got the result they needed. A win and the Dolphins losing in Baltimore to set up a scenario that they didn't foresee a month ago. Nobody foresaw a month ago. And that was a major Sunday night matchup for all the marbles and for the AFC East. After their win in Kansas City, Josh Allen and the Bills have been playing better football. They still make the mistakes that they made all season long, but they minimized it, except for this game against the Patriots. So how they are now versus how their opponent is against that being Miami, the Bills should feel at least positive heading into this major showdown that's going to happen in the final game of the regular season. Speaking of the Dolphins, well, they're probably the one of two losers of this week because, yes, they ran into a buzzsaw in the Ravens on Sunday, but damn, it's like you had no answers for how to stop them or let alone how to even counter them. Well, yeah, like I said, Tua leaving that game with the shoulder injury, yeah, didn't help matters either, but it's like, it's just getting very alarming how all these injuries on defense and now offensively, these injuries are piling up. It's just really alarming going into this major showdown against the Bills, and going into the playoffs. They already got their playoff berth, but it's just like the Dolphins could be looking at another one and done appearance if these injuries don't start healing up for them. I mean, there are a couple of them that are season ending. Like, for example, Xavier Howard is not season ending, but he won't be available for next week's game. But Bradley Chubb, that's a big loss for the pass rush with the torn ACL. And I think they lost one of their other top pass rushers. So that's going to be completely neutered. So very alarming for the Miami Dolphins, who seem poised at the number 1 seed like a month ago, like for the past month. And now they could be dropping as low as the 6th seed once again, just like last year And then you had the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, they seemed well on their way to securing the NFC East, if not the top seed, all season long. If they had just played one more good half against a bad Cardinals team, but instead they crap just like they did against the Giants, just like they did against all the other competitions they faced, except they won. But it's just like they crapped the bed because their struggling defense once more caved in, and then Jalen Hurts couldn't bail them out. He couldn't bail them out again. And they couldn't stop Kyler Murray and then the Arizona offense when it was on its last legs. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, went from being the top seed a year ago, and now they could be looking at themselves as a wildcard team that's not only needing help from the tanking Commanders to pull off a repeat upset of last year over the Cowboys. So when you look at the Eagles, they're like, they look defeated. They look broken right now. And there's no easy fix. I don't think there's even a fix at all right now. So they could be looking at themselves going to the first round matchup against likely whoever wins the NFC South. And who knows, maybe even whoever wins the NFC South could have a chance to beat the Eagles in the first round. So very alarming, very concerning for the Eagles right now. So now let's take a look at the playoff picture right now. My playoff watch after week 17 to close out our recap. And there's a lot to dissect considering that it's the second to last week of the regular season. And there's a lot that unfolded. There's a lot that became There's a lot that became clear going into next week where the stakes are going to be even higher. But we'll talk more about that as we talk about the final week of the regular season. So, joining the various teams that are already on the January cruise to Cancun, those four teams are the Raiders, the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Bears. So, even if the Broncos and Bears had won, well, outside forces had got them eliminated from playoff contention. So, those four teams have joined the Panthers, the Patriots, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Commanders, Chargers, Jets, and Giants on that January cruise to Cancun. So, well, RIP. Not really. So, now let's get into the actual crux of things. The Browns, like I said, they secured their playoff ticket to the big January dance with their win on Thursday night. However, they're pretty much secure in their spot. They're basically the 5th seed now. Basically, it's because of what happened to the Ravens on Sunday. So, I mean, their last regular season game means nothing to them. The 49ers, thanks to what happened to the Cowboys, thanks to what happened to the Cardinals, they got their wins, and of course, they won in Washington. They secured the NFC's top seed, so they get the first round bye and the home field advantage. So the NFC runs through Levi Stadium, coming soon in the playoffs. So they get about 2 weeks of rest now, and especially considering all the injuries that are suddenly piling up for them, they can definitely use them. Also for the Ravens, they also secured the AFC's top seed with their win over the Dolphins. They also secured the division, but more importantly, the top seed. So, going into that next game against the Steelers, they can certainly use to rest up some of their starters. But considering the history a couple of years ago when they rested pretty much all their guys going to that divisional game against the Titans, maybe they might want to play them for a series and then start pulling people out. Maybe that's something they might consider. Miami's loss, however, to the Ravens and the Bills winning over the Patriots, like I said, sets up that big Sunday night showdown for all the marbles for the AFC East. And for the Bills, that's especially important considering, if the Steelers win or lose that game, it's going to be a major one for the Bills for their playoff chances. The Seahawks losing to the Steelers clinched the Rams their playoff ticket to the big dance in January. So the Rams, they're still playing for seeding. They could be the 6th or 7th seed, depending on what happens, but they still have a little bit to play for. And then meanwhile, after getting spoiled on Christmas, the Chiefs finally secured the AFC West for the 8th straight time with their win over the Bengals, but they are locked into the 3 seed, so not really much else to play for the Chiefs. So for the remaining unsettled playoff spots, Seattle's loss left the door open for the Packers later on in the night to claim the NFC's last playoff spot, for now at least. Next week, they have the easiest path to get in. All they have to do is beat the Bears. Next week, if they fail though, that spot goes to the Seahawks if they win in Arizona and the Packers lose. The Bucs, by virtue of losing, well, they still maintain control of the NFC South, but they got to win in Carolina to wrap it up. Otherwise, if they somehow lose to the Panthers, the winner of the Falcons and Saints game wins the division. The AFC South is still open, although the Jaguars made things much easier for themselves now. Finally, that's if they get their quarterback back. All they got to do is beat the Titans on the road to win the division. But if they fail somehow, the winner of the Texans and Colts game a day prior wins the AFC South. As for the last two AFC playoff spots, that's where things get a little dicey. Not so much for the first part, because for the Texans and Colts game, it's win and you're in. So either the Texans or Colts will get into the playoffs, whoever wins that game. But for the last playoff spot, it gets a little tricky. Because like I said, the Steelers need to win that game. And against a Ravens team likely to rest some of its starters. But they got to wait until the Sunday night game between the Bills and the Dolphins. And they got to hope that the Bills lose that game to a depleted Dolphins team. So, yeah, a lot is riding on the Steelers and the Bills for their playoff chances. So if the Bills lose that game, yeah, the Steelers are in the dance. But if the Bills, if the Steelers somehow lose that game, then the Bills are in the dance. Even if they don't win the division. So there you go. So yeah, a lot has been made clear in terms of the playoff picture. Still a little bit of things to sort out in terms of seeding. Divisions are still up in the air. Playoff spots, like at least 3 more to be decided, like in the wild card bunch. But we're getting there. We're getting to the last week of the regular season, and then we're getting to the big January dance. You ready to tango once again? So I hope you're ready to tango for probably the biggest January party in your life. And that is the playoffs, the annual big January dance, the NFL playoffs. So anyway, that is my recap for week number 17 of the 2023 NFL season. Let me know how your team did or didn't do in the comments below. And who would you like to see make the big postseason dance for the teams that are still alive? Let me know in the comments below as well. Anyway, that is my recap. My name is DylanLasagna of Very Cold Lasagna. And until the next one, keep the lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And peace out.